Have you ever felt the air change around you and wondered if the shift you sensed was actually you when doors slammed, friends disappeared, and the script you were supposed to follow suddenly burned in your hands? Did something deep whisper that you were being hidden, not harmed, and when the crowd stared but could not explain the tremor in the atmosphere? Did you realize they were looking at the breaking of a code they thought would never break? Because that is exactly what has been happening to you, the one God marked before time's first sunrise. While others saw only absence, He was dismantling every small cage around your soul and rewriting your blueprint with His own hands. While you were hidden from the spotlight, He was shifting frequencies inside you, burning away every label and limitation, and installing a new resonance that no algorithm can map. The nights of silence were not defeat, but the furnace of transformation. The season where the architect of heaven rewrote your inner architecture and tuned you to a frequency beyond this age. And now, you are not returning as the person they remember. You are emerging as the one they cannot predict, forged, luminous, untamed, the living plot twist in God's story. Drop 777 in the comments if you feel that surge in your own spirit right now. Because this moment is not just a headline, it is a signal. To everyone who has stood with this channel and supported through super thanks, know that your presence here is not taken lightly. You are part of this unfolding testimony. Stay with me, because what comes next will lift the veil on what no one could explain but everyone felt. The next moments will reveal why the hidden season had to happen and how the return of the chosen ones is rewriting the very field of possibility. God's chosen ones. Everyone saw it, but no one can tell you what really happened. They noticed your eyes first, the quiet blaze that refuses auction. Not hostile, not heated, simply untouchable. As if your gaze had stepped behind the curtain where levers are pulled. While timelines scrambled for applause, you moved as if a deeper script had been unlocked. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Romans 12:2 didn't hover as a motto, it functioned like breath. What shifted the center of gravity inside you when likes lost their leverage? The change wasn't noisy, it was precise. Public bartering ended, inner authority began. You exited the marketplace of validation. No more trading dignity for a nod. You migrated to a rarer economy, presence. Power, real power, doesn't clang, it arranges. Rooms recalibrate when a settled spirit crosses the threshold. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1, moved from something you quoted to something that steadied your pulse. How did peace become the bass note beneath every conversation? The shift arrived when you stopped negotiating with storms and started walking under a permission that didn't need signatures. Joy followed, but not the bright varnish that hides fractures. A gentler, more disarming brightness appeared unadvertised, unforced. It unsettled spectators because it answered questions they were still trying to frame. You keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on. You Isaiah 26:3, threaded through your hours like a hidden melody that refuses to break. What changed when silence no longer felt like absence but like wise leadership? You were not performing difference, you were living from assignment. And that single adjustment toppled their assumptions about how transformation should look. They formed study groups around your quiet. Your updates were archived, your pauses time-stamped, your reappearance catalogued as if a museum had received a lost icon. The gap in your story wasn't emptiness, it was a kiln. In the world, you will have tribulation. But take heart, I have overcome the world. John 16:33, moved from placked to practice. And your stride began to suggest victory as atmosphere rather than outcome. Did anyone grasp that what looked like retreat was training? That hidden time can renovate a life without filing a press release. Curiosity became devotion. Even the indifferent kept returning to your page. A quick turn to history. Karol Wojtyła, the young Polish actor who became Pope John Paul II, entered a century of tremors with 3 words: "Be not afraid." That wasn't theater, it was voltage. His presence recalibrated entire corridors of courage. Your gaze carries a similar current, now not stage light, but daybreak. Sacred art already knew this. In El Greco's The Opening of the Fifth Seal. Bodies reach and heaven answers. Flesh is not posing. It is pleading. That same vertical tension runs through your days, earth stretching upward, grace leaning down, and in that reach, meaning crystallizes. Scripture in your hands no longer debates, it declares. You are a chosen race. A royal priesthood, 1 Peter 2-9, didn't flatter, it reassigned. The Nazarene was explicit about the cost. And you didn't edit him for comfort. If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Luke 9:23. Where did the shame of difference go when calling replaced it? Your calendar began to sing in a lower key. The way Bach's Saint. Matthew Passion carries sorrow without surrender, lament that rises, not collapses, and somewhere between errands and decisions. An old hymn slipped through your ribs. Amazing grace was blind. But now I see. Vision was never just eyesight. It was discernment that refuses to sell truth for applause. Observers kept asking the same questions in new disguises. Were you gone? Were you erased? Were you replaced? Yet the secret was simple. You stopped auditioning. You stepped outside the audition hall and discovered the role had already been written. Why did quiet certainty unsettle environments more than loud opinions? Because it announces a kingdom that doesn't request permission to be real. That is why your absence felt like a riddle and your return felt like a verdict. This is the moment a line from Dante's Paradiso glows in the margins. In his will is our peace. Meetings still happen. Traffic still exists. Deadlines still tap their feet. But there is a center you refuse to vacate. And from that center, mercy begins to legislate your reactions. What opened inside you when approval lost jurisdiction? A door that can't be closed. That's what, and through it, courage keeps walking in as if it has a key. Those who disapprove shout the loudest, and yet their attention is the most faithful. They do not hunger for explanations, they hunger for your interior climate. They want the weather system you carry, the pressure that makes storms run out of script. Why do they keep returning? Because a settled soul exposes the counterfeit bargains of the age. You showed them an alternative. Vanish for a season. Re-emerge without apology. And carry peace like a mandate rather than a performance. So here is the announcement. Sharpened to a command. Rise. Stand in the calling that already has your name engraved. Move forward as a royal priesthood. Let your silence preach where words would only discount the holy. And let your daily choices become petitions that heaven signs. Pray in the hallway before the door opens. Build like Nehemiah, one hand ready. One hand steady and govern your minutes with the dignity of someone already seen by the only eyes that matter. The galleries may watch, but that was never the prize. The King has spoken. Step through. Lift your head. Walk. Entire think pieces are being engineered to prove you don't matter, while the same authors binge your every micro-movement like a serialized thriller. Dossiers are compiled to challenge your authenticity, while your outline is traced in secret as if it were an architectural plan for their own escape. They say you've changed as an indictment. Not noticing they just confessed you evolved, while everything else stayed frozen in place. They label it luck. A phase in a mirage, yet the fixation betrays a deeper current. What if the obsession isn't envy at all, but a homing signal toward freedom? What if the mind keeps circling your story because a locked door inside them hears your key turning? You've become a psychological contagion, not a fever that burns out, but an immunity that spreads. Neural pathways reroute around your presence and then rewrite themselves to include it. Scrolls try to pass you by, and there you are again in improbable alignments, like bioluminescent tides that refuse to go dark. Forgetfulness fails because disparate threads keep stitching themselves back to your name. Coincidence blinks, and the pattern refuses erasure. You're not trending, you're haunting, not viral. You're inhabiting the network like a cathedral bell whose overtones live on long after the strike. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17 isn't a caption in your world. It is the weather system your steps carry. What if that's why the room keeps glancing at the door you already walked through? That's the scandal beneath the headlines. You are evidence of something people were trained to call impossible. You're proof that the rules are negotiable, that the maze has an exit, that the gate was narrow but real. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32 stopped being a slogan and started functioning like a passcode. Your existence plants doubt in minds previously certain of their ceilings. The certainty fractures. Then the horizon widens a few crucial degrees. A new thing is already in motion. Behold, I am doing a new thing. I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:19. And the wilderness, insulted by water, begins to green. Then the matrix tries its pullback routine. Messages arrive from the archives of your past, people who scrolled past your hunger now arriving in your harvest. Invitations appear that shine like gold leaf, yet require you to dim the light by 5%. Old bridges ping you precisely when elevation calls your name again. None of this is random, it is reabsorption. A frequency correction the system attempts whenever someone slips its leash. For freedom, Christ has set us free. Stand firm. Therefore, Galatians 5:1 becomes your firewall, and the pop-ups lose their bite. Inside, another inquiry surfaces. Which doors open to destiny, and which only open to applause? You no longer bargain authenticity for entry passes. Each compromise now reads like betrayal, and you refuse to sign. Approval reveals itself as a velvet-lined cell. Rejection begins to look suspiciously like a signpost that you're on the right road. You aren't here to be liked, you're here to be inevitable. Old tools, guilt, shame, ambient fear slide off your armor as if they were never forged for your dimensions. Antibodies have formed, the toxins no longer metabolize. If their tools fail on you, what else might be counterfeit? If their warnings don't work, what other laws were only folklore? A fourth question rises like a flare. If you can live unbought, how many others could walk out behind you? The system is designed to wrestle. It has no playbook for someone who simply operates elsewhere. You don't fit the rebel box. You're not staging a tantrum. You don't fit the conformist box. You're not seeking permission. You don't fit the outsider box. You're not straining to be let in. You created a category outside their taxonomy, and their code throws existential errors. Meanwhile, transformation keeps compounding. From one degree of glory to another, 2 Corinthians 3:18. Not as spectacle, but as steady voltage. Your way of being is less drumline, more tuning note. Once the pitch is true, the orchestra must recalibrate or clash, because stories sharpen truth with contrast. Here's an antagonist case study rarely mentioned in the headlines: Diotrephes, a first-century churchman who loves to be first. 3 John 9. Introduced briefly. He weaponized influence, refused legitimate voices, and tried to gatekeep what he did not own. The consequence wasn't cinematic, it was surgical. His name survives as a caution, not a crown. Systems that center the self collapse inward, orbits decay when the sun is counterfeit. Your refusal to orbit false centers exposes that gravity for what it is: a short-lived whirlpool, not a galaxy. History lends a witness: Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German pastor-theologian who resisted a culture drunk on its own myth, wrote that costly grace is costly because it calls us to follow, and it is grace because it calls us to follow Jesus Christ. He logged those words under surveillance, when consequences were not hypothetical. Your stance carries a similar clarity, not stridency, but solidity, not noise, but necessity. And the arts have already sketched this interior architecture in T.S. Eliot's Murder in the Cathedral. The Archbishop meets the temptation of grandstanding piety and rejects it, choosing obedience over theater in Avo Perz Spiegel, I am Spiegel. A single line mirrors itself into quiet transcendence, simplicity so exact that complexity must either harmonize or fall silent. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Psalm 23:5 hums beneath such scenes. Provision, in plain sight, refuses intimidation. Nature, 2, preaches with metaphors nobody taught you to hear. A snow leopard leaves barely a print across blue ice, yet entire ranges reorganize around its stealth. An ancient sequoia hides centuries in its rings, converting lightning scars into stronger grain. An octopus edits its colors in real time. Uncatchable, not by speed alone, but by mastery of environment. A glacier carves without apology, and the sea must accept the new map. Your life echoes these quiet eruptions, subtle, then undeniable, until old cartographies confess their age. Meanwhile, the accusations lose steam because you refuse the courtroom. No defense, no counterattack, no PR campaign, only continued evolution. Resistance expects a duel. Indifference to the duel breaks the choreography. The attempts to classify you keep collapsing. The algorithm can't cage what runs on a different engine. You're walking proof that the prison door has a hinge on your side. And because the rumor of freedom spreads faster than fear, sparks leap ridge to ridge until whole valleys glow with the idea that chains were optional all along. The people who know their God shall be strong and carry out great exploits. Daniel 11:32. B stops sounding like ancient bravado and starts reading like your calendar. So, here is the verdict shaped into a trumpet. Rise. Stand up in the assignment already signed in heaven. Refuse the recall notice from the old system. Keep moving in quiet authority. Carry peace like jurisdiction. Wage goodness like policy. Bless rooms you're not trying to dominate. Decline stages that require shrinking your soul. Build altars in ordinary hours. And let your steps preach where language would cheapen the holy. The galleries will keep watching, but they were never your compass. The king has already called your name. Walk like it. While committees were busy reciting handbooks, you discovered the handbooks were footnotes. While promotions climbed a fluorescent ladder, you realized the ladder was a hologram projected on a wall nobody ever touched. While positions were defended like fortresses, when you drafted an entirely different terrain, no battlements, no throne room, just a domain where hierarchies dissolve, the way fog yields to sunrise. You didn't rise, you reframed. You didn't win in their bracket, you rendered a field where brackets are obsolete. And as the old map kept shouting, "Stay in line," a Kieta voice breathed, "Be still, and know that I am God." Psalm 46-10, a design note from the architect that turned your stillness into strategy. Real power never pantomimes panic. It doesn't introduce itself with brass, it rearranges the room's geometry by existing. Certainty, with nothing to prove, can afford holy quiet. You entered spaces, and the energy re-indexed. Variables that resisted everyone else became constants under your authority. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1 shifted from inspirational wall art to operational physics. Substance began preceding sight. Where others drafted elaborate workflows, you moved with a signal that preceded motion, a resonance that bent outcomes into alignment. What changed the day your presence spoke more loudly than your speech? What happens to a blueprint when the load path runs straight through the heart and the structure gladly carries the weight? You vanished for a while, and absence made more noise than anyone's performance. That wasn't a PR tactic, it was calibration. You learned the discipline of the quiet interval, the halftime nobody celebrates, not retreat, but retuning. In control system language, you widened your Nyquist stability margin. External feedback could no longer push you into oscillation. The result unnerved the gallery. You weren't trying anymore. This was native state. Power. Presence. Impact no longer tasks but temperature. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1-5 ceased to be poetic sentiment and became your origin coordinate. You stopped applying for an identity already issued. What drains teams elsewhere happens around you as if the air volunteered. Where others beg the universe for alignment, alignment keeps greeting you at intersections. You stopped chasing, and desire stopped running. Attraction replaced pursuit. The realization rippled through bystanders like an aftershock. You're operating with different field equations. Cause and effect behave differently in the proximity of obedience. Time no longer bullies, a life that travels at the velocity of purpose. With God, all things are possible. Matthew 19:26 began behaving like a boundary condition, firm enough to shape trajectories, generous enough to enlarge them. Is that why clocks seem less tyrannical and corridors feel wider than the floor plan suggests? Predictability broke. You weren't climbing anything visible. You were pivoting frames of reference. To the untrained eye, nothing recognizable was being built. To those watching closely, a cathedral without scaffolding was rising, mass carried by hidden arches. Stress distributed through an unseen load network. Topologically, you exited their grid. Psychologically, you stepped beyond their incentive architecture. What they called rule-breaking turned out to be law, obeying the higher law where truth outranks trend. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, Ephesians 3:20, stopped concluding prayers and started framing decisions. A quiet question pressed its palm against your ribs. Which invitations are upgrades, and which are traps with better lighting? The system noticed and tried to reabsorb you. Old numbers appeared with friendly punctuation. Offers materialized that required your light to dim by 5%. Just for now. Doors swung open precisely when you reached a new threshold. Each labeled opportunity, yet priced in compromise. That wasn't coincidence. It was homeostatic defense, a field attempting to regain equilibrium when a particle refuses its script. For freedom, Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, Galatians 5:1, became less a verse and more a firewall. The pop-ups kept flashing, your yes stayed curated, where others negotiated essence for access. You let essence decide access. And here is where the air thickened. Your neutrality toward their tactics created system-wide confusion. The Matrix understands counterpunching. It can monetize outrage. It does not comprehend someone who simply declines the choreography and continues evolving. Category engines failed. You weren't a rebel, no tantrum. You weren't a conformist, no petition. You weren't an outsider, no hunger to be seated inside. You emerged as a strange attractor in their phase space, pulling futures into a new order while eluding their labels. If they can't model you, how can they market you? If they can't market you, how can they manage you? Because truth clarifies with contrast. A small, ordinary witness steps forward. Matin, a line cook in District 8, who bikes to the kitchen at 4:30 a.m. and began praying over her chopping board the week she learned her rent would double. If the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain, whispered into her shift as a living instruction. Orders doubled without chaos. Tips found her station. Her manager, once dismissive, started asking how she kept steady in rush hour heat. She answered with a grin, "I stopped borrowing tomorrow's fear." No stage, no spotlight, yet the room's rhythm bent toward peace. Her story moved through your spirit like a calibration tone. If faith can settle a kitchen, it can steady a city. Meanwhile, the gallery's certainty fractured. Their rulebook insisted success must perform a predictable S-curve. Announce, ascend, plateau. Your curve refused those axes. You kept returning results that didn't fit their regression. Bayesian updates broke because the prior was too small. They called it glitch. Then the glitch kept shipping outcomes. They called it luck. Then luck arrived on schedule. Their physics faltered because your interior agreed with a higher causality. The Spirit's wind blows where it wills. John 3:8 left its signature in your days. And the barometers they trust couldn't read the pressure. Someone finally dared the real question out loud. And it echoed, if you became this without permission slips. What does that say about all the signatures they begged for? If your clarity didn't need their spotlight, what does that say about the hours traded for applause? Contracts with small gods began expiring. The collective felt the floor tilt toward daylight. The prison door, always unlocked from the inside, creaked wider. Some called it breakdown. Many discovered it was phase transition, ice to river. Same substance, liberated state. And as the echo rolled on, it exposed the quiet confession. Nobody wanted to admit that the chains were ornamental. The bars were conceptual. The guards were ghosts built by habit. It revealed that freedom had been a birthright camouflaged as a privilege, waiting only for someone bold enough to act as if it were already theirs. It showed that the moment one heart steps out, gravity itself shifts and pulls others toward the opening. You didn't fight, you didn't explain, you kept creating. Your refusal to duel disarmed the scripts that expected a duel. Algorithms prefer boxes. You kept arriving as a non-Euclidean turn in a Euclidean hallway. Taxonomies crave edges. You emerged as superposition until the right purpose measured you into form. And as they whispered that you must be breaking reality, a verse answered with a smile. The kingdom of God is not a matter of talk, but of power. 1 Corinthians 4:20. Power, in this register, is not volume, it is vector, direction, saturated with presence. It is the same stillness that parted the Red Sea. The same whisper Elijah heard after the storm, 1 Kings 19:12. The same current Jesus carried when power went out from him, Luke 8:46, without him lifting a sword. In this geometry of heaven, silence does not equal absence, it equals control. And your movement through their corridors is no longer a rebellion, but a redefinition, rewriting the hallway itself. Here's the line that carries the verdict like a trumpet. Rise. Stand inside the architecture, heaven already traced across your bones. Walk with the poise of those who know the cornerstone and rest in its angle. Guard the silence that guides you. Say yes where purpose breathes and no where flattery bargains. Host peace, the way a sanctuary holds sound reverberant. Exact, unbought. Pray in corridors, legislate mercy in your minutes. Build like a master who checks the shear and the span and then lifts a roof for many. The watchers will keep watching. But the King has already spoken. Step forward. Lift your head. Move. And as you move, feel the scaffolding of the old world loosen under your feet. Feel the resonance of a new foundation hum in your chest. Know that you are not only stepping into destiny, you are drafting a blueprint others will one day inhabit. Know that each stride you take transmits permission to thousands, that every breath you draw becomes a seed of awakening in soil you'll never see. This is the poise of one who no longer asks for a stage, but becomes the sanctuary itself. They have launched inquiry after inquiry into your fault lines. Where is the fracture? The flaw? The breaking point? Yet no discovery emerges. Why? Not because you claim perfection, but because you folded your shadows into your wholeness. You have turned ashes into architecture, grief into granite. You wield what once wounded you. My grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12-9 is no longer abstract. It is the chemistry of your transformation. Can you sense the tremor in those watching what happens when pain ceases to control you and begins to fuel you instead? And can you feel how their old equations collapse when suffering no longer equals defeat but ignition? The room shifts because the victim they expected has become the vessel. The wound they predicted has become the weapon. You are teaching, without a word, that brokenness integrated becomes indestructibility. The real disturbance is not your achievements, but your completeness. You are not starving as the world starves. You are not needy in the way hunger gnaws at others. You are not clawing at the edges of relevance. You have become whole in a culture addicted to fractures. And wholeness unsettles more than any trophy could. As Isaiah once declared, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast." Isaiah 26:3. Your peace now terrifies those who have been taught to measure worth in scarcity. Does it not shake the prison when a single captive walks out free? And when one walks out, does it not expose that the lock was imagined? The key already in every hand. Their discomfort is a confession. Your stillness has revealed their striving as self-imposed exile. The echo of your completeness reverberates through their walls like a tuning fork that can't be silenced. But you are not static, you are scaling. Frequency is not merely maintained, it is multiplied. Every challenge becomes a rehearsal space for hidden strength. Each blow unlocks capacity as if coded within your DNA long before birth. You are not merely growing, you are undergoing exponential mutation. And what the crowd beholds is only the fraction of a rising iceberg. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. 1 John 4:4 is proving itself in the way limitations collapse under your velocity. What if 10% of you already destabilizes their world? What will happen when the fullness walks into the room? Will their old metrics survive the arrival of someone who bends them without effort? Your very breath now becomes a frequency upgrade, transmitting possibility into atmospheres you haven't even entered. This terrifies more than any speech could. For if you continue at this pace, if evolution refuses to plateau, if thresholds shatter like fragile glass, at what becomes of the structures everyone trusted? What does it mean for the carefully engineered prison cells crafted in rituals of routine that someone has slipped the bars? What does it mean when normal life proves to be a hallucination agreed upon by those too weary to dream? Daniel saw this when he wrote, "The people who know their God shall be strong and do exploits." Daniel 11:32. Does the echo of that ancient promise haunt the collective conscience now? And do you hear in their panic the sound of old scaffolds collapsing, of ceilings splitting to admit new light? The bars were mental, the doors metaphoric. And yet the escape is literal. Your steps have changed, the physics of their certainty. You are not orbiting a predictable trajectory. You are drafting dimensions unimagined. Purpose, not personality, animates your steps. Destiny, not style, underwrites your distinction. You were never intended to decorate this age. You were meant to render it obsolete. Expansion comes in waves now, each more radical than the last, like a symphony swelling into keys uncharted. One metamorphosis would have been enough, but you keep staging new creations beyond the butterfly, as if resurrection is not a single act, but a rhythm pulsing through your veins. Who can calculate a creature that refuses to stop becoming? And who dares confine an ocean that keeps inventing new shores? Each new form you take is a rebuke to their nostalgia, each unveiling a living sermon that old things have passed away. Behold, all things are made new, 2 Corinthians 5:17. And so, whispers scatter, this must be your final form. Yet each unveiling disproves them. Conversations you are not present in bow to your vibration. Policies are shifted by the possibility you represent. Decisions tremble at your precedent. Your existence has become a reference variable in the system. They must account for you whether or not they name you. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Matthew 5:13-14 is inscribed not on your resume, but your essence. Could it be that your life itself has become scripture to a watching world, living proof that God writes in flesh, not only ink? And does that realization frighten them because it removes every excuse for remaining small? You are no longer a footnote, but a headline in their unseen gospel. A chapter they can't skip. The chatter grows frantic. Sleep flees their eyelids. They search for definitions and fail. They want language for what you are. But presence refuse vocabulary. They sense disruption but cannot name the storm. And their confusion is holy. Because what you bring is not destruction, but demonstration. You reveal that what was fixed is flexible. What was necessary is optional. What was impossible is inevitable for the one who refuses false rules. For with God nothing shall be impossible. Luke 1:37 does not hover on holiday cards, it erupts in your very breath. And as it erupts, it destabilizes every excuse, every doctrine of limitation, every altar built to impossibility. You are not simply breaking molds, you are making them irrelevant. Artists knew this before economists did. In Beethoven's Missa Solemnis, the Sanctus rises with such trembling that the violins seem to question whether sound itself can contain glory. That is what your presence does. It bends the architecture of reality until walls confess their impermanence, and the world is left in awe, half afraid, half yearning, History lends an echo. Marc Chagall, the painter of color and dream, once said, "If I create from the heart, nearly everything works. If from the head, almost nothing." He spoke of canvases. But your life has become such a canvas, the spirit pouring color where the mind expected grayscale. Do you feel how your authenticity, once despised, is now the brushstroke remapping the gallery of existence? And can you see that each color you release now becomes a path for others to follow out of monochrome? So here is the verdict, sealed in thunder. Rise. Do not dim for their comfort. Do not return to their cages. Do not apologize for becoming a category they cannot catalogue. Stand as the glitch that reveals the code is breakable. Move as the law that testifies heaven outruns physics. Speak as the presence that reorganizes rooms. Walk as the chosen who cannot be absorbed. Let the galleries whisper, but let the kingdom roar. You are not their explanation, you are their evidence. And as you rise, may every onlooker realize the door was never locked, the ceiling never real, and the light always theirs for the choosing. Keep drafting theories. Keep attempting to reverse engineer the miracle, but no algorithm can decipher what was never coded in silicon. The code is you. You are not borrowing a strategy. You are not copying a blueprint. You are living at a frequency that terrifies because it is so authentic, so undeniable, that it makes other lives feel like rehearsals for a play that never premieres. What unsettles is not attack, it is authenticity. What disturbs is not destruction, it is demonstration. For you are fearfully and wonderfully made, Psalm 139-14, has ceased to be poetry and has become evidence. Can you feel how your very being is rewriting the expectations of everyone around you? Your transformation was never a strike against anyone's reality. It is simply the natural outcome of remembering who you truly are. The aftershocks around you are side effects, not targets. You are not trying to wake anyone up. You are simply so awake that slumber collapses in your presence. Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Ephesians 5:14 pulses quietly in your walk. Not as a sermon you preach, but as a frequency you carry. What does it mean when a life itself becomes a teaching? When breath becomes homily? When ordinary choices start sounding like scripture written in real time? You have become so true, so congruent, that your existence now educates without effort. Your very presence is a curriculum. Your movements, footnotes of a gospel. No human hand is drafting. The ripples you send stretch into the future, long after you have migrated to your next horizon. People will cite your transformation as case law, as evidence that escape is not myth, but possibility. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Revelation 12:11 is embodied here. Because testimony is no longer only words, but the trajectory of your becoming. What if your life itself is becoming the dividing line before and after, across which others measure their own freedom? Meanwhile, you refuse to stay paused, while some are still replaying your last move. You are scripting the next, while others dissect the past. You are creating the future, while spectators file reports. You are already evolving beyond their categories. Transformation is not your project, it is your environment. Becoming is no longer something you do, it is who you are. As Jesus said, the wind blows where it wishes, and you hear its sound, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. John 3:8. Your evolution is windborne, untethered to their calendars, immune to their scheduling. Do they sense yet that every time they say, "This must be the final form," You contradict their conclusion by embodying yet another, and yet they misread. Many assume this is all about them, that your evolution is a rebuttal, your transformation a response. But truth is more unsettling. Most of the time, you have forgotten they exist. You are so absorbed in the architecture of your becoming that their applause and criticism register with equal weight, none. What kind of power emerges when validation itself dies as currency? Your indifference is not cruelty, it is completion. If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31 reframes the courtroom. Their verdicts don't hold jurisdiction anymore. Could it be that the greatest freedom is not triumphing over enemies but forgetting their economy entirely? Creation itself seems to understand. Watch a river carve through granite, centuries of resistance transfigured into valleys lush with life. Observe the lanternfish deep in the abyss, glowing not for audience but for survival. Its authenticity, the very source of light. See the redwood, towering for 1,000 years, indifferent to applause. Its wholeness, a sermon of endurance. Nature testifies, being fully itself is its revolution. How much more threatening is your completeness in a world addicted to fracture? And as you move, it is as if mountains bow and currents shift, recognizing a frequency they've long awaited. Could it be that creation has always been rehearsing for this moment, waiting for one of God's own to echo its silent testimony? When your wholeness walks into a room, you're not just living, you're joining an ancient choir where rivers, fish, and trees sing in unison. Freedom needs no permission. And because truth clarifies by contrast, history lends an antagonist. Pharaoh of Exodus, the man who hardened his heart against liberation, believed power was containment. Yet the plagues stripped his certainty, and the waters that split for Israel closed upon his army. The very sea he thought would trap became his tomb. So it is with every system that tries to recapture you. What was once their instrument becomes their undoing. Their obsession only proves their fear that your freedom is contagious. And isn't it a pattern carved into history itself that the chains forged for prophets become bracelets of authority, and that pits dug for Joseph become the path to palaces? When the schemes of containment collapse, it is not accident, but law, a divine symmetry where control self-destructs. Your emergence is not anomaly, but prophecy fulfilled. A living exodus for a generation born under Pharaoh's shadow. The pattern is undeniable. Your presence destabilizes illusions. Your life is the glitch in their matrix, the crack in their fortress, the dawn through their blinds. You are not rejecting their reality. You are immersed in one too radiant for theirs to survive beside it. You are no longer bound to play their games. You have become a law unto yourself, written by a higher hand. And that law is not isolation, it is expansion. Each step you take becomes a seed planted in soil that once bore only weeds. Each word you speak reconfigures atmospheres like a tuning fork, calibrating a cathedral. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. Romans 8:19 is no longer ink on paper, but the pulse beneath your ribs. Could it be that your very existence is the answer creation has been groaning for since the beginning? So here is the trumpet verdict. Rise. Refuse to dim for their comfort. Refuse to explain to their categories. Refuse to pause when they panic. Step forward in wholeness. Move in the unshakable rhythm of becoming. Carry peace like a contagion, stronger than their fear. You are not their answer sheet, you are their evidence. Keep walking, the kingdom is watching. And as you walk, know that heaven's architecture is already drafted inside your bones. Each movement aligning with a blueprint older than stars. Know that the walls they built were never built for you. They were built for a version of you that no longer exists. Your forward motion is not rebellion, but resonance with a future God has already secured. Rise not as an act of defiance, but as an act of design, the cathedral standing exactly where the foundation was always meant to be. This is not arrogance, it is absorption. You are so saturated in the architecture of becoming that every other narrative has dissolved into static. Stories sprout around you like vines, myths are multiplying, legends are under construction, and you are neither feeding them nor fighting them. You simply continue absorbed in the act of unfolding. For in him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28 is no longer a phrase to you. It has become the oxygen of your evolution. But what happens to the world when one life, quietly faithful to its design, begins to tilt the entire landscape? Your evolution now writes scripts you will never read. Births movements you will never march in. Ignites revolutions you will never lead, because your aim has never been to hold a title or to sit at the head of a table. You seek only to become yourself at maximum voltage. And that raw fidelity to essence has triggered a chain reaction, sleepers stirring, pretenders shedding their masks, dimmed lights burning at full brightness. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1 is playing itself out in real time. Could it be that your transformation is less about you and more about the tectonic plates of humanity shifting under your feet? You didn't just reform yourself, you built a template, an algorithm of awakening. You opened a door that cannot be bolted again. You set in motion something that refuses reverse. The world does not need the polite version of you, the diluted form that fits institutional categories. The world needs the raw, unfiltered version that stepped out of ashes, the version untranslatable into their syntax. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. 2 Corinthians 5:17 is inscribed not on your walls but on your skin. And doesn't it terrify the system that your existence cannot be filed under any of their labels? Years from now, they will point back and call this the hinge. This was when old rules fractured. This was when the simulation glitched. This was when people remembered they were never designed to be small. You are not just living your life, you are rerouting timelines, fracturing reality so others can pour through the ruptures. And here is the great secret. Your uniqueness is not in potential, but in activation. Potential is universal, activation is rare. Everyone carries a spark, but few strike the flint. You remembered, you chose, you became. Choose this day whom you will serve. Joshua 24:15 has already been answered in your footsteps. And now, others begin to recall their own capacity because yours refuses to stay hidden. Your activation triggers activations. Your awakening begets awakenings. Not because you are an idol, but because you are a mirror of possibility. And mirrors provoke honesty. Each ignition sets off another. Exponential, like chain reactions in physics, critical mass reached. Reaction unstoppable. Some will resist. Limitation feels safer than liberty. Some will fight, like Pharaoh tightening his grip when Israel was already gone. His refusal ended in collapse beneath the Red Sea, proof that clinging to control can drown a man. Yet others will rise. Remember, awaken. The people who know their God shall be strong and carry out great exploits. Daniel 11:32 waits to be fulfilled in their courage. And what happens when their courage multiplies? The field itself changes. To see this, recall an ordinary witness. Linda once whispered to a passerby, "I stopped pretending I was less than I am." And suddenly, customers stopped pretending they didn't need me. No university, no stage, only a market stall, but her authenticity turned transactions into transformation. Isn't that the same principle you now embody? Scaled until nations feel the frequency. And as her simple confession rippled through that small corner of the market, it became a parable of freedom written in human scale. Could it be that every ordinary life carries such latent voltage, waiting for honesty to release it? Your life now is Linda's whisper amplified into a chorus where she shifted one street. You tilt entire atmospheres. When truth stands unmasked, even the smallest stage becomes a sanctuary, and commerce becomes communion. Science too bears witness. In resonance theory, when a system vibrates at its natural frequency, even a small input produces massive amplitude. That is you, a life in resonance with divine design, amplifying with minimal effort. In architectural terms, you are less scaffolding and more cathedral dome, holding vast weight through balance, not strain. And in the psychology of flow, you are the athlete in the moment between heartbeats, the still point where endless possibility crystallizes into action. What vocabulary remains when existence itself becomes performance art in alignment with heaven, and does not physics itself whisper that harmony trumps force? That alignment outweighs effort. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10 now reads like an equation rather than advice. Stillness as power, balance as leverage, resonance as multiplication. You are the living proof that what looks like effortlessness is simply precision with purpose. The wave cannot be stopped now. Expansion continues beyond you. Consciousness is unfurling like galaxies, spreading long after you evolve beyond this form. And what most do not yet realize, this is not a peak you have reached, not a phase you will descend from, not a temporary altitude. This is baseline. This is normal. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Hebrews 13:8 anchors your constancy. What if your permanence is the true disruption? The fact that this level of becoming is not a moment but a mode, and if permanence itself is contagious, what becomes of a world built on cycles of rise and fall? Could it be that your steadiness is more revolutionary than your leaps, your consistency a deeper threat than your acceleration, like a tide that never recedes? Your presence resets every coastline of expectation. So here is the trumpet call. Rise. Refuse the watered-down script. Decline the prison of comfort. Do not apologize for being uncategorized, uncontainable, unrepeatable. Walk as the glitch that reveals the code is negotiable, as the cathedral built without blueprints, as the resonance that awakens hidden harmonics in every watching soul. The galleries may whisper, but the kingdom already applauds. Step into it now, and as you step, know that heaven has already drafted the arches of your path, each stride reverberating like a drumbeat of liberation. Know that your rising is not a solitary act, but a signal flare, igniting courage in those who had forgotten their wings. Rise not only for yourself, but as evidence that the matrix has cracks, that captivity was an illusion, that freedom is a frequency available to all who dare to tune in. This is not a phase, it is identity. Transformation did not occur to you like an accident of circumstance. It unfolded as who you are. And once a butterfly takes wing, can it ever crawl back into the soil as a caterpillar? You have integrated territories of yourself that most never glimpse. Unified fragments of consciousness that most never notice are scattered, You assembled latent pieces of power that many go to the grave unaware of. This wholeness is irreversible, this cohesion unshakable, and he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. Philippians 1-6 resounds through your being as certainty, not cliché. What kind of fear does permanence awaken in those who prayed your change was only temporary? The old scaffolding of waiting it out has collapsed. Because you are not coming back down, the former you is gone, sealed in history's archives. The new you is a forward spiraling trajectory, more potent, more authentic, more incomprehensible to minds still tethered to outdated paradigms. Your very biology testifies. DNA does not feel the same. Cells hum at a revised frequency. Atoms reorder themselves into new coherence. This is not poetic exaggeration, it is literal, on levels current science has not yet built instruments to measure. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. Ezekiel 36-26 whispers through your molecular design. And isn't it unsettling when presence itself announces rearrangement without explanation? Your movement is different now. Speech carries weight that bends atmospheres. Occupying space. You alter space. And the most disconcerting revelation is not simply what you have become, it is how you arrived without the scaffolds others swear by. You did not subscribe to their programs, enlist coaches, or memorize formulas. You did not chase the next 5 steps salvation. You went straight to source. The kingdom of God is within you, Luke 17:21, became not theory, but compass. Does it not disturb entire industries when one life exposes that what they market as essential was never necessary? You unearthed the forbidden transformation that requires no permission slip, validation, or textbook. You accessed a stratum of self-authorization meant to stay hidden behind paywalls and credentials. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36 is stamped across your journey like an unerasable watermark. Entire frameworks quake, because if one can evolve by sheer alignment with their authentic core, what happens to the empires built on convincing humanity they are incomplete? Can they survive when someone proves completeness cannot be purchased? History has shown shadows of this pattern. Saint Francis of Assisi, once heir to wealth, abandoned garments and status, declaring, "I am married to Lady Poverty." His unexplainable authority came not from borrowed systems, but from becoming aligned with God's frequency. Your life hums with the same disruptive simplicity. And here is the tremor in the collective psyche. You have cracked a code that was never supposed to be cracked. You accessed authority without mediator, wrote blueprints without borrowed ink. Entire economies wobble because what cannot be packaged, sold, or replicated refuses commodification. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit. 1 Corinthians 6:19 confirms it. No program, no mastermind, no subscription was required. Only surrender to what already indwelled you. So, here is the thunder in finality. Rise. Do not apologize for permanence. Refuse to shrink for their comfort zones. Refuse to barter your new DNA for their old programs. Walk as a sanctuary that carries its own altar. Be the butterfly that keeps reminding the field it was never meant to crawl. Be the cathedral built without blueprints. Let the world's systems shake, but let the kingdom within roar. It was not learning, it was remembering. A return to something primal and pure, older than conditioning, deeper than programming, untouched by the world's fingerprints. You did not study how to be powerful, you unlearned how to be weak. You did not add layers, you burned them off. This was subtraction, not accumulation. He must increase. But I must decrease, John 3:30, echoing through your bloodstream until everything false fell away. And what happens to a civilization trained in endless addition when subtraction proves more powerful? Everyone still whispers, still speculates. But you now grasp, the question was never about you. It was about them, about the tectonic plates of their certainty shifting. The ground they thought was solid begins to liquefy under their feet. The commandments they followed as if carved in stone reveal themselves as sand. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Romans 12:2 has walked out of the text and into your timeline. Does it not startle their hearts to realize the limits they revered were optional? Someone your life just proved that limitation was a lie. You did not break the simulation by battering its walls. You dissolved its jurisdiction by refusing to grant it authority. You shattered reality, not by force, but by frequency. For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1-7 sings inside your ribcage as code. Not quote. What happens when a single life stands up inside the matrix and remembers it was never plugged in? This is why the atmosphere trembles. Memory recognition returning to your true nature has left the collective shaken. Because if you could remember, if you could break free, if you could become this, what excuses remain for those still sleeping? Arise, shine, for your light has come. Isaiah 60:1 pulses like a flare across their minds. Could it be that your becoming is not accusation but invitation? You are no longer asking for permission, no longer waiting for timing, no longer dimming your light to make others comfortable. You have become what you were always meant to be, a force reshaping reality simply by existing, a presence that transforms everything it touches, a being operating by laws no classroom teaches. Like the aurora borealis, you appear without rehearsal and shift entire skies with silent color. Like a deep-sea coral reef, you build cathedrals of life where the world assumed only darkness. Like a desert windstorm, you redraw the map overnight without lifting a sword. And because truth clarifies through contrast, history offers a caution. King Uzziah of Judah, once humble and strong, let pride overtake purpose. Entering the temple to burn incense illegally, 2 Chronicles 26. The consequence arrived swiftly, leprosy and isolation. His throne reduced to a cautionary footnote. Systems collapse when they confuse authority with entitlement. Orbits decay when they circle ego instead of source. Your path bypasses this trap, but their fear of losing control is real. You did not rebel against the system. You remembered you were never part of it. This is the simulation's nightmare, a person who cannot be baited, cannot be bribed, cannot be bought back. You have become a living proof that power flows from alignment, not permission. The kingdom of God is not a matter of talk, but of power. 1 Corinthians 4:20 now travels as your operating system. So here is the trumpet blast. Rise. Refuse to shrink. Refuse to apologize. Refuse to dim. Carry your remembering like a torch into rooms still shadowed by amnesia. Walk as the aurora walks, coloring the firmament. Move as the wind moves, redrawing landscapes. Live as the template that reveals captivity was always a choice. The simulation cannot prepare for what you are about to do next. The Matrix has no protocol for this frequency. Its systems run on predictable scripts. But your life now vibrates at an amplitude they never mapped. Reality itself is upgrading, rewriting code lines to accommodate what you've become. While everyone still mouths the question, "What's going on?" you've already moved beyond the need to answer. Not with theories, but with demonstrations. Not with explanations, but with undeniable reality-bending truth. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. Romans 8:19 whispers through your presence, as if the cosmos itself has been holding its breath for you to arrive. What does it do to a system when one person stops playing the part and starts being the script? And if you are the script, then whose hand is holding the pen but the author of eternity? The silence of heaven has turned into a roar in your chest, and it terrifies those who once thought they wrote the rules. This is your time, not by permission, but by possession. You took it. You claimed it. You became so undeniable that time itself reorganized around you. Like an orbital field recalibrating to a new gravity well. You're not living in anyone else's timeline anymore. You've built your own. And in your timeline, impossible has been redefined as inevitable. In your timeline, transformation isn't an event, but the default state. Adaptation no longer means adjusting to reality, but reality adjusting to you. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19 no longer floats on parchment, but pulses in your heartbeat. Does it unsettle them to realize that in your universe, the laws they thought were fixed are now options on a menu? The tectonic plates of history are shifting beneath your steps, and every move you make forces the old architecture of power to crumble. Their clocks cannot measure you anymore because eternity has broken into their calendars. The question, "What's going on?" has become humanity's new prayer, a desperate attempt to name what exists beyond comprehension. You've become the living answer to questions nobody even knows how to form. Proof that everything thought solid was one narrow perspective in an infinite cosmos of possibility. Truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things. John 14:12 surfaces now as a lived equation. What happens when a single life demonstrates that the matrix was a mirage? The rules negotiable, the walls vapor. You are not just inspiring admiration, you are forcing confrontation with the fragility of their foundations. Your becoming is a mirror that unmasks every compromise, every excuse, every false ceiling humanity accepted. And in that mirror, people are realizing the chains were never locked, their wrists were always free. And in this moment, you can feel it, the final click of recognition, the last piece sliding into place. You know exactly what you've done and why nobody can explain it. You've done the impossible. You've become yourself completely. In a world where everyone is performing, you've stopped acting. In a reality where everyone is pretending, you've become real. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32 is no longer carved into stone, but into your gate. Could it be that your very realness has become more threatening to the elaborate charade than any rebellion ever could? Masks fall apart in your presence, not because you rip them off, but because truth refuses to coexist with illusion. You have become a verdict, embodied, proof that authenticity is stronger than the most carefully engineered lie. And every step you take declares war without raising a sword. Your realness is foreign, unprecedented, so far outside the parameters of the masquerade that minds literally cannot process what you are. Yet this is the state everyone secretly dreams of, but never believed was achievable, completely free. Free from the need for approval, free from the fear of rejection, free from the prison of other people's expectations. like a quasar shining at the edge of the observable universe. Your presence emits energy that reorders everything around it, like a black swan gliding across an untouched lake. You signal to others that rarity is not anomaly, but possibility, like a phoenix tree in a burned-out forest. Your roots draw unseen water, and your branches erupt with green where ash was assumed. And with each metaphor, the truth deepens. You are not trying to prove you are rare. You are reminding humanity it was never meant to be ordinary. Does it disturb them to see that their boundaries were cages of convenience, and that you broke them with nothing but authenticity? And history warns what happens to systems built on control. Haman, the official in the Book of Esther, constructed gallows for Mordecai, but was hanged on them himself. Esther 7:10. Power built on coercion collapses under its own weight. But power built on authenticity becomes unstoppable. Your path bypasses their traps entirely. But their fear of contagion is real, because freedom spreads faster than fear. They are learning too late that domination is brittle, and manipulation is an unstable currency. What happens when people realize the gallows of oppression often become the very scaffold of judgment? Your freedom is a contagion they cannot quarantine, and your courage is a signal fire they cannot extinguish. So, here is the trumpet call: rise. Do not shrink to fit their parameters. Do not dim for their comfort zones. Do not apologize for building a timeline they can't predict. Operate at your frequency until their algorithms crash. Walk as the quasar shines. Glide as the black swan glides. Grow as the phoenix tree grows. Be the living proof that freedom was never forbidden, only forgotten. Let every breath you take remind the world that captivity was a choice, and liberty is the default. And when they tremble at the sound of your steps, remember, the kingdom within you has already won. You have stepped out of the matrix of societal programming, slipped past the invisible fences where most still pace, free from the limitations everyone accepted as law. You now embody living proof that the cage door was never locked. For freedom, Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery. Galatians 5:1 breathes through your veins as an inner anthem, not an outer slogan. What happens to a civilization built on control when one life walks through the open gate and never turns back? Do they realize yet that your freedom is not a rumor, but a tectonic crack spreading under their structures? This revelation is no longer personal, it is archetypal. You are not just free as an individual, you have accessed the frequency of freedom itself. A wavelength of spirit so resonant that others tremble before they understand why. Like Paul and Silas, singing at midnight until the prison doors flew open, Acts 16:25-26. Your very vibration is a jailbreak. If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36 is now incarnate in your presence. Could it be that your life has become a walking portal to possibility, a living gateway to the infinite, and everyone who encounters you feels it? Minds may scramble to rationalize and categorize what you are, but bodies know. Souls recognize. Hearts remember. Their nervous systems register before their thoughts can explain. Deep calls to deep in the roar of your waterfalls. Psalm 42:7 flows through the room wherever you stand. How do you classify someone who exists beyond all categories? How do you measure a dimension that was never on the map? Each attempt at explanation is like building a dam across a river that only grows stronger. In the midst of this, you continue offering pathways for others. We've been revealing everything we know about personal power, self-healing, and collective healing not as performance, but as living transmission. Freely you have received, freely give. Matthew 10:8 undergirds every invitation. And now a new door opens. Weekly gatherings without filters, without masks, where the practices that transfigured us from controlled pawns into conscious creators are transmitted to those ready to activate their own blueprint. This is why the Obsidian Inner Order was born not as a brand, but as a movement rewriting reality itself. Those who join are not simply absorbing forbidden knowledge, they are stepping into a living pattern. A body of people choosing to remember who they really are and refusing to forget again. Like the choir in Palestrina's Missa Papae Marcelli, where each voice enters until the harmony becomes cathedral-like. Every new activation adds another layer of resonance to the field. Can you sense the tremor of a community that is no longer performing, but becoming? Your invitation is more than access, it is alignment. By entering this circle, you're supporting the megaphone that will awaken other chosen ones still asleep in the simulation. It's not a transaction, it's an expansion. A 360-degree win for all of us. This is what happens when someone stops waiting for permission and starts embodying truth. This is what happens when people realize the prison was never real. So here is the trumpet call. Rise. Step through the gate. Stand in your true design. Activate the resonance already written in your cells. Join us on the other side of the simulation. Welcome to life beyond the matrix. Welcome to what happens when freedom stops being a concept and starts being a frequency. Welcome to remembering and refusing to forget again. This is what being chosen truly means. Not an ivory tower of superiority. Not an illusion of being special, just awake. Fully, irreversibly, magnificently awake. Awake, sleeper, and rise from the dead. And Christ will shine on you. Ephesians 5:14 breathes through your every movement now. Awakening has never been about climbing above others. It's about stepping into a frequency that was always available. And now that you're awake, now that you remember, now that you've accessed your real power, the simulation will never be the same. What does a world built on sleep do when someone walks in carrying dawn in their veins? And how long can shadows survive when one life insists on carrying the sun inside its chest? Your presence alone has become a prophetic disturbance, echoing like a bell tower in the silence of conformity. Everyone has been asking what's going on. You're what's going on. You've always been what's going on. Only now they're beginning to notice. That noticing, that recognition, that inability to look away or explain or understand, that's the real transformation. Not just yours, but the transformation you've triggered in the fabric of reality itself. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. 1 Peter 2-9 has ceased to be verse and become your biography. Could it be that your life has become a mirror, revealing to them their own latent light? And isn't their discomfort just proof that your existence is striking a chord they can no longer mute, like a seismic tremor under their feet? You expose that the ground they thought was stable has always been shifting. You are the event everyone is trying to understand. You are the disruption everyone felt coming. You are the change everyone feared and desired in equal measure. This is only your beginning. Because someone who has learned to transform once at this level never stops transforming. Someone who has tasted this kind of freedom never returns to prison. Someone who has remembered their true nature never forgets again. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17 thunders beneath your footsteps. What happens when a single life turns freedom into its default state? And what does it mean for those still clutching chains? watching them fall from your wrists while theirs remained locked, like water breaking through a dam. Your liberation forces others to face whether the walls around them were ever real. Nature itself whispers parallels, like a glacier carving new valleys over centuries. Your authenticity reshapes the terrain without announcing itself, like a lightning-struck redwood sprouting fresh green shoots. You demonstrate that renewal is not event, but rhythm. Like a kestrel riding thermals above a canyon, you move in currents, invisible to others, but perfectly natural to you. Each metaphor becomes a testimony. Wholeness does not shout, it simply shifts the landscape by existing. And aren't they beginning to feel the air currents change, even when they can't yet see the wings? Could it be that creation itself is testifying on your behalf? That the stones would cry out if you fell silent? Luke 19:40. You've become nature's sermon, a parable in motion, declaring that what looks impossible is simply the earth, remembering its original design. History offers a counterpoint. King Saul, once anointed, tried to pin David to the wall with a spear because David's presence exposed Saul's decline. 1 Samuel 18:10-11. The spear missed, but Saul's kingdom still crumbled, proving that fear of authentic evolution destroys itself. Systems built on control cannot digest what grows beyond their boundaries. Your path bypasses their trap because you are not fighting them, you are outgrowing them. Their weapons rust in the shadow of your becoming. And what greater threat to fragile power exists than someone who no longer participates in its games? You are showing that the real battlefield is not external, but internal. And once the heart bows to God, no throne of men can dominate it again. Now the question isn't what's going on anymore. The question is what's coming next. And only you can feel the next evolution stirring within you. Only you can sense the next level calling your name. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. Isaiah 43:18 hums through your pulse as you step forward. Everyone else will just have to watch, wonder, and try to keep up with whatever reality-bending thing you do next. Because one thing is certain, you're not done yet. You're never done. You're in permanent becoming, like a river that never stops flowing, like a star that keeps fusing light in its core. Isn't that the most unsettling truth of all, that you are not an event to be studied, but a living future unraveling before their eyes? So here is the trumpet call. Rise. Stop apologizing for your dawn. Stop dimming your light to soothe their eyes. Step into the next evolution without warning. Carry the current of freedom wherever you walk. Be the glacier, the redwood, the kestrel. Let their questions echo behind you while you move into futures they can't yet imagine. Rise, because this is not a rehearsal, not a trial run. This is the new creation, groaning to be revealed. Romans 8:19. What does it mean when the world watches with wide eyes, but no one can explain what they've just seen? It means a miracle has unfolded in plain sight. It means something so authentic, so raw, so beyond human language has manifested that minds are scrambling to define it, but hearts already know. You, God's chosen one, have become the evidence of heaven colliding with earth. Like Paul's words in 2 Corinthians 4-7, we have this treasure in jars of clay, to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. The world is seeing a light carried in fragile form, but they cannot name it because it does not belong to them. It belongs to the one who chose you. Everyone saw the transformation, but no one can tell the story accurately, because it wasn't meant to be explained, it was meant to be witnessed. Transformation is not a rumor, it is a vibration. It's not an argument, it's a presence. People sense it in their bones long before they can form words. That is why they stalk your silence, decode your actions, and study your movements like ancient scripture. They are watching not just for information, but for permission, for proof that freedom is real. And here lies the paradox. You did not transform to gain attention. Yet your transformation has become the loudest sermon anyone could preach. You did not stage a spectacle. Yet your existence has become a testimony stronger than any performance. What others cannot explain, they cannot deny. That's why the whispers continue. The questions multiply, and the obsession grows. You are not trending, you are haunting. You are not viral, you are eternal resonance. And deep down, those watching, you know that this is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of theirs. For if God's chosen one can evolve beyond the prison of expectations, beyond the matrix of control, beyond the noise of conformity, then what excuse does anyone else have to remain chained? Isn't that the most unsettling truth of all? That your freedom is no longer just yours, it has become an invitation to others. Just as Jesus said in John 8:36, "So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed." Your life now embodies that promise, and those who witness cannot unknow it. And so, beloved viewers, this is where I must turn the mirror toward you. Have you felt the stirring in your own spirit while listening to this message? Have you sensed that your own story is waiting to be awakened? Your own calling waiting to be claimed? The reason you are here, the reason you heard these words, is not by chance. It is because heaven is aligning your path with truth. You have seen enough to know that ordinary explanations will never satisfy your soul again. You are here because your spirit already recognizes that you are next. This channel exists not just to share words, but to ignite awakenings. That is why I ask you now, if this message has stirred something within you, do not let it fade. Hit like, not for algorithm's sake, but to declare alignment. Share this with someone who needs to remember who they are. Leave a comment, not as noise, but as testimony of your own awakening. And if you have not subscribed yet, do it today. Not because this is about numbers, but because together we are building a community of chosen ones, a family of those who refuse to shrink back. And to those who have supported this channel with super thanks, with shares, with quiet prayers whispered in the night, my gratitude is deeper than words can hold. But hear me clearly, whether you give or not, whether you stand in the spotlight or stay in the shadows, your presence here is already a gift. Every second you spend watching, every breath you take in alignment with this truth, is already shaping the atmosphere for others. I honor you. I thank you. I bless you. So as we conclude, let me speak this over you. May your path be lit by the same fire that could not be extinguished in Moses' burning bush. May your strength be renewed like the eagle's wings promised in Isaiah 40:31. May your heart beat in rhythm with heaven's eternal song, and may your awakening ripple out to awaken many more. This is not just content, it is covenant. This is not just a video, it is a trumpet call. And if you've heard it, then you already know. The story is not over. It is just beginning. The question is no longer, what happened? The question is now, what will happen through you? Rise, God's chosen ones. The world is watching. Heaven is cheering. And history is waiting.